Hi, welcome to our second field demo video. In this video, I'll be showing you how to measure strike and dip and trend and plunge with the Silva compass, which is very similar to the TrueArc and the Sunto compasses you have. I'll also demonstrate the measurements using the Brunton Transit compass. So I'll start with the Brunton Transit compass. We have a very nice rock sample here of a fold hinge. You can see how the bedding has folded. So we have both limbs visible and the fold hinge. So the strike and dip measurements that would be very useful in this case are to measure the orientation of the bedding on both limbs. And the lineation, or the linear measurement that would be of most interest to us in this case, would be a measurement of the fold axis. Of course, with an outcrop, you would have to maneuver your compass into the position that the rock is oriented in, but for this demonstration, for clarity, I'm just going to adjust the rock sample itself for clarity. So here, we're trying to find the orientation of this plane, and with strike and dip, we use our right hand, put it face down on the surface we're interested in. So the thumb is pointing toward strike, according to right hand rule, and the dip is pointing 90 degrees from strike and going down slope. To measure strike on our Brunton, we point the black plastic arm in the same direction as strike, as our thumb. So we hold the full length of this edge onto the rock surface we're measuring, and we maneuver the compass to level the bubble level, like that. Now we simply read off the azimuth orientation given by the north arrow. And in this case, it's about 268 degrees. So we would record that measurement in our notebooks, and that's our strike line. I'm just going to use some chalk to draw on the strike line parallel to where we measured it. There we go. So if this is our strike line, dip must be perpendicular to this line in the downward direction, like that. So now we rotate our compass to put this edge on the surface and pointing it down slope. I'm just going to adjust the orientation of the sample so you can see the dip measurement a bit more clearly. So we have the edge of the compass perpendicular or parallel to that dip line and perpendicular to strike. To measure dip when the compass is in that orientation, we need to adjust the clinometer bubble level by moving the inner dial. We move the inner dial by adjusting this on the back, like that. And if I do the same adjustment looking at this, if you watch on the inner dial, you can see it moving. So in this dip measurement, if we adjust this dip measurement to make the clinometer level at the base, I'll take a side view video so you can see how that works. And you can see the bubble crossed horizontal, so you want to work back and forth until you get as close as you can to the center, like that. So you can now move your compass and pick it up, because once you've adjusted the back dial, it won't move, so you can look at it at a more convenient angle and read off the dip angle. In this case, it is about 47 degrees. Now if we measure the same strike and dip with the Brunton compass, I'll just put that strike back to where it's supposed to be. The direction of strike on this compass is in that direction. So we align the compass on this edge onto our strike line. If your compass is like this one without a level, you want to adjust it as close as you can to being level by looking at the relative positions of the floating needle. So once you have that in place, you rotate the outer dial, put the red in the bed, i.e. the floating north needle, in the stationary red arrow in the background. Once you've done that, you read off your measurement on this side to be, in this case, 276 degrees. Now to measure dip, in this case, we're using the same inner dial. So we have to adjust the dial to be horizontal compared to the edge of the compass that we're going to be putting on the rock to measure dip. So if I do that, then we put the compass, since I want to put it in this direction so the mirror doesn't get in the way, I'm going to rotate the dial around 180 degrees, like that. So now our dip clinometer will be on the other side. If we put the compass on the rock oriented correctly for the position of dip, we then see the black needle pointing vertically downward and lining up with the inner dial off of which we can read our dip measurement. And in this case, we have 44 degrees of dip. And that's it. So now if we're wanting to measure the lineation of the fold hinge, or the fold axis, our lineation measurement is going to have a trend that's parallel to the line of interest, and I'll just draw the line of interest on the rock with some chalk, just so we're clear that we're talking about the same line. So if we align, say, the pencil in the orientation parallel to trend, the plunge angle is the angle between horizontal, which the pencil crayon is oriented in right now, and the angle below horizontal of the feature of interest. So to measure the trend and plunge of this feature with our Brunton Transit compass, first off, we look at the lineation from above, and as we are lining up the slot in the compass with the lineation we're trying to measure, we're also making that level bubble level. And once it's level and our measurement is lined up with the lineation, we read off the trend measurement from the north arrow, which is 041 degrees. For the plunge, it's the same mechanics as dip, where we're using the back dial to move that inside clinometer. And so we orient the compass parallel to lineation. And if you can see with that secondary camera how I move that back dial, and at some point the level bubble on the clinometer level will move across. So I move it, work my way back slowly and forth until the bubble level is in the middle, or at least moves across the middle very slowly like that. Instead of trying to read the measurement at that awkward angle, we can pick up our compass and read off that inner dial to see the plunge is at about 43 degrees. And so that is measuring trend and plunge with the Brunton Transit compass. To measure trend and plunge with the Silva or similar compass, again, we line up the compass. We can use the back mark and the front mark. And if we have the outer dial oriented east-west, we have that extra line down the middle to help us line it up. So once that's lined up pretty well, we can then rotate the outer dial to put the red in the bed. And now we simply read off the trend value from the top end of this compass, which is about 65 degrees, 065 degrees. So that's the trend value. For the plunge, it's again the same mechanism as dip. So if we align our outer dial to be aligned with west to east, so the 0 degree axis is parallel to the edge of the compass. Again, we bring our compass, align it parallel and flat on the lineation measurement. And in this case, we don't need to move anything. We just read off the arrow that's always pointing vertically downward to read the plunge. So again, the plunge here is about 45 degrees. And that's how we measure trend and plunge using the Sunto/Brunton/Silva compass. Thanks for watching. Bye.